if you're a D-backs fan and you're not too happy about the doubleheader situation, I'm sorry, but this is not going to be good news for you, because if the Diamondbacks go 2-1, right, they're putting themselves in a pretty good spot. But there is that scenario where both the Braves and the Mets also go 2-1, like I said, where you're good. The Monday games don't matter. However, if both the Mets and the Braves go 3-0, then on Monday, the D-backs would be at 90 wins, the Braves would be at 89, and the Mets would be at 90. So the Mets would have absolutely nothing to play for at that point. However, the only scenario where the D-backs would make the postseason is if the Mets won both of those games. So you would need the Mets to sweep a doubleheader where they're probably, I mean, they're still going to have to use some of their starting players, right? I mean, you only get one extra roster spot for a doubleheader.
Yep.
But yeah, that would feel very unlikely, right? And that's where the doubleheader puts the D-backs in a tough spot, because if those two games were played when they normally would have been, then there wouldn't be an element of like, oh, the Mets don't have anything to play for. So that is one of several sort of disastrous scenarios that could happen on Monday.
And then the Mets play the Brewers.
Yep, Mets play the Brewers, and then Royals play the Braves play the Royals.
Braves
Yeah,
play
Braves
the
play the
Royals.
Royals. Yeah.
I mean, both playoff bound teams. Both have already clinched, right? The Royals have clinched as well, at least a playoff spot.
No, I think they're still. I think they're 2 games up in the wild card for the AL.
Okay, so they're
close.
They're close.
But they're not quite there yet.
But they would still have something essentially
to play for.
this
Yeah, so
weekend,
they're
depending
not
on
that the
Twins.
Brewers are just cashing it in, but they're,
Yeah, the Brewers don't have much at this point. They're not going to advance their position as far as the top 3 teams.
Yep.
They're not going to lose. They're not going to have to face another, team on the road instead of having that home series in the first round. So.
Yeah, I mean, there is if the Padres in particular were to actually find a way to catch the Dodgers, which wouldn't be good news for the D-backs at all. But if that happened, then the Brewers might have something to play for, because then they might actually be able to catch the Padres, because they're currently only half a game behind the Padres in the standings.
They could
try to overtake them.
Play. Everybody play as hard as you can. Can we just do that? How hard is that? Can we all just go out there and try to win our baseball games that we're participating
the way
in?
It should be.
So, okay. So I'm not going to dwell on this too long. We could talk about this for forever.
There are literally hundreds of scenarios.
The D-backs 2-1 scenario, going back to that real quick, it becomes disastrous if either the Braves or the Mets go 3-0 and the other is at least 2-1. So we just covered when the Braves and Mets are both 3-0 and how that's not a great scenario. Another scenario that's not great is if the Mets go 2-1 and the Braves go 3-0. This one would be particularly difficult for Diamondbacks fans to watch. In this instance, the D-backs are 90-72. Again, this is where the D-backs win 2 of their last 3.
They're all going to end up
the Braves are at 89 wins and the Mets are at 89 wins.
So both teams just need to win one game on Monday to get in. And they can both be in. And they can just split it.
Yes.
Like, you guys win game 1,
exactly.
we'll win game 2.
And it's not like a collusion, like, oh, the Braves and the Mets are they're colluding to knock out the Diamondbacks. It's that both teams need to win one of these games in order to make it. However, once the first game of the doubleheader is played, then
that
the
team has zero motivation to win
has no motivation to try in the next game. They're going to try to rest their guys because they're playing a wild card game in 24 hours.
That's what I mean.
So it's kind of a built-in situation where the outcome the D-backs would need, which is for either of the teams to sweep, it's just not built for that. Because the moment one team wins, then that team has no motivation to come back and try in the next game. And I won't go into them too far, but if the Braves and Mets both go 2-1, again, D-backs are automatically. And then if the Mets go 3-0 and the Braves go 2-1, the opposite of what we just talked about, it's a similar situation where the D-backs are counting on a team to win a game that they have no motivation to try to win. And of course, they are division rivals, right?
Correct.
Mets Braves, they're trying no matter what. It's just a matter of what are these starting lineups look
personnel.
like? What
Are even if you're a backup, you're going to go in there and play.
You're trying to. There's incentives. There's a lot of things still on the line as a player.
Yeah, absolutely.
And never in my life have I ever taken the field and not tried to win.
Not tried to win.
Right. Exactly.
We talked about it earlier. Throughout a big league season and throughout your career, you understand that. All right, it's after the 6th inning. We're down by 6 or 7 or 8. More than likely we're going to lose this game. Not that we just give up, but we're going to maybe change some things up, throw in some bullpen guys, pull some starters out.
And that mental attitude might not allow you as a player to give your best effort because
Correct.
you also already have kind of been like, but it doesn't mean you're not going to try when you're out there.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think, all of us want to win, but it does create some weird spots where you could, like you said, you see the team winning a game and then all of a sudden they're starting, it's a doubleheader game. So that's where, again, you can get creative. You could have a guy sitting in the locker room to go for game 2 that would never pitch into this game 2 scenario, but is going to start game 2 so you can save Freed or whoever to be ready to go.
I mean, you're probably bringing in like an extra pitcher from AAA as your extra roster spot. And if you win the game 1 of the doubleheader, then maybe that guy becomes your game 2 starter. So those scenarios, all this to say, if the Diamondbacks have not clinched a postseason spot as of Sunday, but they still have a shot at that point, they're not eliminated. Monday does not line up well for them. It is going to be hard for them to clinch on Monday if they're not able to do so on Sunday.
Well, thanks, Captain Bring Down.
I'm sorry. I know I'm kind of the bearer of bad news.
We all silly like the mayor.